Have you ever wondered why she seems more excited when you pull away, and colder when you lean in? It's not random. It's not fate. It's not that you suddenly became less attractive overnight. It's dopamine. It's the same chemical that keeps gamblers hooked on slot machines and keeps people scrolling endlessly through social media feeds. Unpredictability fuels it. The uncertainty of reward makes the brain light up brighter than the certainty of it. And some women, whether consciously or unconsciously, play this game with you, using unpredictability as a weapon to hook your attention, test your patience, and pull power over you. Imagine you've been texting a woman all week. She replies quickly at first. She laughs at your jokes. She gives you energy. And then, suddenly, silence. No reason, no explanation. Hours go by, maybe days. You feel that itch in your chest, that restless buzzing in your stomach. You want to check your phone over and over. You wonder if you said something wrong. You question yourself, and just when you're ready to give up, she replies with something light, playful, as if nothing happened. You feel relief, even joy. But notice what just happened. Your emotional state is now tied to her inconsistency. That's not love. That's dopamine addiction. The trap is this predictability feels boring, while unpredictability feels addictive. The danger is that most men confuse this chemical roller coaster for genuine attraction. You tell yourself, she must like me. Otherwise, why would she come back? But in reality, what's happening is reinforcement. She withdraws to trigger your chase. She reappears to give you a hit of dopamine, and if you're not careful, you'll become her lab rat pressing the lever for another hit. While she learns she can control you with silence and crumbs of attention. Here's what you need to understand. Every time you chase her during those cold spells, every time you double text, over-explain, or beg for reassurance, you're teaching her that unpredictability works on you. You're rewarding the very behavior that destabilizes you. She may not even be aware of it, but her subconscious is learning. If I pull back, he panics. If I come back, he relaxes. I control the cycle. That's not a relationship, that's training. And you're the one being trained. The cost is heavy. Over time, your self-respect erodes. You stop focusing on your own goals, your own peace, because you're too busy analyzing her mood swings. You're drained, constantly trying to get back to the highs she gave you in the beginning. And when you live in this cycle long enough, you start believing that chaos equals passion. You start believing that calm equals indifference. You get hooked on drama, and the worst part, you mistake unpredictability for love. So what do? You flip the script. The way out is not to demand consistency from her. You'll never get it that way. The way out is to stop rewarding unpredictability. That means no double texting. That means no chasing when she withdraws. That means no interrogating her silence with long emotional essays about how much you care. Instead, you match her energy. If she goes cold, you stay indifferent. If she disappears, you disappear longer. If she's unpredictable, you remain grounded. Your consistency becomes her unpredictability. She can't control you if you're not hungry for her crumbs. This doesn't mean you play mind games. It means you stop being the lab rat. When you stop reacting, the game breaks. The first time she withholds attention and you don't chase, she'll notice. The second time, she'll test harder. And the third time, if you stay calm, she'll realize you're not like the others. She may grow respect for you, or she may walk away because the game doesn't work. Either way, you win, because you never lose when you keep your self-control. Unpredictability works because it hijacks the brain, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. You recognize when she pulls back just to test your reaction. You recognize when she reappears only to reset the cycle. and you recognize that love built on games is not love at all. Your job is not to chase, not to beg, not to explain. Your job is to stay solid, unmoved, and let her reveal if she's capable of showing up consistently. Because a woman worth your time doesn't need to confuse you to keep you. She doesn't need to manipulate your dopamine system. She wants to build peace, not chaos. Now, I want you to ask yourself something. Have you ever been trapped in this cycle before, hooked on her silence and addicted to her return? Which one of these toxic patterns have you faced most? The sudden withdrawal, the hot and cold texting, or the attention crumbs after days of silence? And here's the hardest one when she pulled back. What did you do? Did you chase? Or did you hold the line? Some women never say it out loud, but their entire attraction strategy is built on unpredictability. One moment they shower you with warmth, the next they vanish like smoke. They smile, they touch your arm, they lean in close, and then, the next time you see them, they barely acknowledge your presence. It's not random, it's calculated, whether consciously or unconsciously. And if you're not aware of what's happening, you start playing their game without even realizing it. You become hooked on the possibility of reward instead of the reality of connection. Think about it. Why do men line up for a slot machine when the odds are stacked against them? It's not the payout, it's the maybe. That maybe is more powerful than a guarantee. When a woman gives you unpredictable attention, she creates a maybe that keeps you leaning forward, restless, desperate for the next sign of interest. And the sad truth is, the more inconsistent she is, the more obsessed you become. Your brain lights up not because of her, but because of the anticipation. You're not chasing her, you're chasing dopamine. The mistake most men make here is thinking they can win this game by playing it harder. They text more, they try to be funnier, more attentive, more available. They pour more of themselves into the interaction, hoping she'll finally reward their consistency with hers. But unpredictability doesn't reward effort, it feeds off it. The more you chase, the more she learns that she doesn't have to be stable to keep you around. She can disappear, knowing you'll be right there when she comes back. Now here's the truth you need to face when you respond to unpredictability with more investment. You're teaching her to disrespect you. Respect comes from knowing that your attention is valuable. The moment she realizes she can disrupt you at will and you'll still be there, you've lost your leverage. You've trained her to see you as dependable, but not desirable, available, but not respected. She may keep you in her orbit, but she'll never see you as the man who commands her admiration. So how do you take back control? You start by detaching your emotions from her patterns. You need to recognize her withdrawal for what it is, a test, not a tragedy. When she suddenly goes quiet, don't scramble to fill the silence. Don't overcompensate. Instead, lean back, match the energy. If she pulls away, you pull back further. If she takes hours to respond, you take hours or longer. Not as a game, but as a principle. Because the man who values himself never fights for scraps of attention. Here's the shift that changes everything. When you stop being predictable in your need for her, the cycle breaks. She can no longer use silence as control because you don't respond with panic. She can no longer use sudden attention as bait because you don't treat it like treasure. You become the unpredictable one not by playing games, but by being grounded in yourself. You live your life, stay focused on your mission, and refuse to let her inconsistency dictate your emotions. That's real unpredictability. Because now, she never knows whether you'll chase or whether you'll walk away, and that uncertainty forces her to respect you. But let me be brutally honest. This takes discipline. Most men cave because they can't stand the silence. They confuse patience with passivity. They think holding back means losing her. But the truth is, If you lose her by not chasing, you never really had her in the first place. A woman who only stays when you beg is not with you. She's with your weakness. And that's not a bond worth keeping. The men who master this understand something fundamental. Attention is currency. Every text you send, every call you make, every time you rearrange your schedule to fit hers, you're spending currency. Spend too much, and inflation hits. Your attention loses value. She stops appreciating it because it's always available. But when you hold it back, when you let her earn it, your presence becomes rare, valuable, magnetic, and that's when attraction shifts back in your favor. So here's the tactic you need to practice starting today. The next time she pulls away, do nothing. Sit with the discomfort, feel the urge to chase, and resist it. Watch what happens. Maybe she comes back stronger, maybe she fades away. Either way, you'll feel a new kind of power, the power of not being controlled. Because the truth is, women don't respect men they can manipulate. They respect men who can't be shaken by games and unpredictability. When you stand tall against it, becomes her problem, not yours. Now, let me turn this on you. Have you ever noticed how fast you start typing when she delays her reply? How many times have you written a long, emotional message just to explain yourself after she went cold? And be honest, have you ever cleared your schedule just because she suddenly became available? Even after ignoring you for days, which one of these mistakes has cost you the most respect? There's a dangerous truth most men don't want to admit. The women who keep you hooked with unpredictability aren't necessarily the women who like you the most. They're the women who know they can control you the easiest. Attraction isn't the same as affection. Respect isn't the same as attention. And yet, you confuse them because unpredictability blurs the line between genuine interest and manipulative engagement. Picture this, you're at dinner with her. She's laughing, she's leaning in, she's touching your hand like you're the only man in the world. You go home floating, convinced you're building something real. Then the next day, she's cold, dry texts, vague replies. She says she's busy, but she's scrolling Instagram and posting stories. You feel the shift, and it eats at you. You think back to last night, wondering if you imagined it. You start replaying the moments in your head, her smile, her touch, her warmth, and you can't understand how it could all vanish in less than 24 hours. That's the power of unpredictability. It traps you in yesterday while she controls today. Here's why it works so effectively. Your brain is wired to seek patterns. When she breaks the pattern, it creates tension. That tension becomes obsession because your mind needs resolution. But instead of giving you stability, she gives you fragments enough to keep you holding on, but never enough to let you relax. It's like dangling a key in front of a prisoner. Freedom always feels one step away, but never arrives. Most men make the mistake of thinking this inconsistency is about them. They believe they said something wrong, did something wrong, failed to be enough. And so, they try harder. They bring gifts, compliments, reassurances. They apologize for things they didn't even do. They compete against ghosts in her silence. What they don't realize is this: the moment you take responsibility for her unpredictability, you've surrendered control. You've handed her the steering wheel of your emotions. The truth, unpredictability is rarely about you. It's about her patterns, her psychology, her past, or her strategy. Some women learned it through experience. Withdrawal keeps men chasing. Some learned it from trauma. Attention feels safer when it's given in bursts, not consistently. And some simply enjoy the power knowing that with one text or one silence, they can dictate your mood, whatever the reason. You need to see it for what it is, not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of her behavior. And once you see it clearly, the strategy becomes simple. Stop interpreting her silence as a problem to solve. Stop pouring energy into decoding her mixed signals. Instead, measure her by consistency. That's the standard. A woman who is genuinely interested in you will want you to feel secure. She'll want to build momentum, not chaos. She won't need to vanish just to keep your attention. If she can't offer that, the answer is not to chase harder. The answer is to step back. Now, let's talk tactics. The next time she goes cold, don't reach out. Resist the urge to fill the void. Go live your life, work out, build your business, spend time with friends. Train your brain to associate her silence with your independence, not your anxiety. The first few times will feel unbearable. Your mind will scream at you to check your phone. But if you hold the line, something shifts. She loses her ability to use unpredictability as a leash, and you gain something priceless, self-control. And when she comes back, and she will, you don't reward her absence. You don't act like you've been starving for her return. You respond, but you keep it measured. You don't give her a standing ovation for finally showing up. You set the tone that your life doesn't pause when she disappears. That's when the power dynamic flips. Suddenly, you're the one who's unpredictable. She never knows if her silence will reel you back in or if you'll simply move on without a word. That uncertainty forces her to choose respect you or lose you. Here's the brutal truth: most men never make it this far. They fold at the first silence. They beg, they chase, they pour their pride into the void. And then they wonder why she never respects them, why she keeps repeating the same cycle. But the men who master this, who can hold their ground in the face of unpredictability, become untouchable. They no longer live at the mercy of someone else's whims. They become men whose attention is earned, not manipulated. So let me ask you directly, have you ever apologized just to end the silence, even when you did nothing wrong? How many times have you convinced yourself her inconsistency was just stress or just busy, when deep down you knew it was a test? And be honest, how often have you rewarded her by being extra sweet the moment she finally came back? The most dangerous part of female unpredictability is not her silence or her mood swings, it's what it does to your mind over time. You don't notice it at first. In the beginning, you tell yourself it's just part of dating, that things will settle down. But little by little, it rewires you. You stop sleeping as easily. You check your phone compulsively. You start timing your replies around hers, as if your life revolves around her rhythm. Before long, you're no longer living in your frame, you're living in hers. And that's when you've lost the battle without even realizing it. I've seen men who are strong, disciplined, focused, reduced to anxious wrecks because of one woman's unpredictability. They'd cancel plans at the last minute just because she suddenly had time. They'd spend nights drafting paragraphs, rewriting them, deleting them, just to say the perfect thing that might get a response. They'd even start hiding parts of themselves, afraid that one wrong word might make her disappear again. This is the slow death of self-respect. And once you give it away, it's nearly impossible to get it back. Why does unpredictability work so well? Because it bypasses logic and attacks your biology. Your brain is wired to crave resolution. When you don't get it, dopamine spikes in anticipation. You don't chase because you want her, you chase because you need relief from the uncertainty. That's why it feels addictive. That's why you can't stop checking your phone. Why silence feels like punishment. Why her return feels like oxygen after drowning. It's not love, it's chemical bondage. Now, here's the truth. No one wants to tell you she may not even be doing it on purpose. Some women are fully aware of the power of hot and cold behavior, but many do it subconsciously. They've learned, through years of interactions, that pulling back makes men chase, that unpredictability raises their perceived value. so they repeat it, not out of malice, but out of instinct. But whether intentional or not, the effect on you is the same. You lose control. This is why you need to stop looking at her behavior as a mystery to solve. You need to stop asking, why is she doing this? And start asking, why am I allowing this? Because the real problem isn't her inconsistency, it's your response to it. You can't stop women from being unpredictable. You can only stop yourself from rewarding it. So how do you do that? With rules. Hard, unbreakable rules that protect your mind from manipulation. Rule 1, never chase during silence. If she pulls back, you don't pursue, you don't explain, you don't plead, you don't demand answers, you match her distance. Rule 2, never reward the return. When she comes back, you treat her like someone who just stepped back into your life, not like a queen returning from war. You respond calmly, without enthusiasm that screams desperation. Rule 3, always keep your life full. The more purpose you have outside of her, the less oxygen unpredictability has to burn. This is where most men fail. They set rules, but they break them the moment the anxiety gets too loud. They fold under pressure because they think holding back means losing her. But the reality is this: if you lose her by not chasing, then she was never yours to begin with. You didn't lose love, you lost a game you never should have been playing. And that's a win, not a loss. Here's something else you need to understand. Unpredictability is a filter. It exposes whether you're the kind of man who clings or the kind of man who leads. Most men cling. They can't handle the silence, so they suffocate her with presence. But the rare man, the one who holds the line, who doesn't bend to chaos, he's the one who earns respect. Because unpredictability only works on weak men. Strong men break the pattern. So let me make this practical. The next time she ignores your text for hours, don't follow up. The next time she cancels plans last minute, don't scramble to reschedule, let her wait. The next time she reappears all warm after a week of coldness, don't roll out the red carpet. Stay calm, stay measured. Show her through your actions that your value doesn't rise or fall based on her attention. That's how you flip unpredictability from a weapon she uses against you into a test she fails. And here's the secret: once you stop chasing unpredictability, your attraction to it fades. The chaos stops feeling exciting, and it starts feeling cheap. You realize that what once kept you hooked now just wastes your time. And suddenly, the women who are consistent, stable, peaceful, they shine brighter than ever. Because peace is not boring when you've lived in chaos. Peace is power. Now ask yourself, how many times have you convinced yourself that drama meant passion, when it was really just unpredictability keeping you hooked? Have you mistaken the adrenaline of chasing her for real connection? And the hardest question, what part of you actually craves the chaos? Because it feels safer than stillness. Here's the part most men never want to face. Unpredictability doesn't just keep you hooked to her, it reshapes how you see yourself. When a woman keeps you in that hot and cold cycle long enough, you start believing you're only worth the attention she decides to give. You stop trusting your own value. You start thinking, if she's pulling away, I must not be enough. And every time you chase to fix it, you carve that belief deeper into your identity. That's why some men stay in toxic relationships for years. It's not that the woman is so extraordinary. It's that unpredictability has rewired their sense of worth. Think back to the moments when she suddenly went cold. You probably told yourself, if I just try harder, she'll warm up again. So you sent the long messages. You adjusted your plans. You overextended yourself. And yes, sometimes she came back. But pay attention, did she come back because she respected you, or because she knew she could? Did she come back out of attraction, or because she was confident you'd always be there, no matter how she treated you. That's not love. That's leverage. Unpredictability works because men are taught to confuse struggle with value. You think if you had to fight for her attention, then she must be special. But the truth is, the harder you fight for inconsistency, the more you betray yourself. A man who respects himself doesn't fight for chaos. He demands consistency or he walks away. And that's the real test. Can you walk away when everything in your chest is screaming at you to stay? Can you hold your line when silence feels unbearable? That's where respect is born. You need to understand something critical. The women who play the unpredictability game only have power over men who fear losing them. If you can't stomach the idea of her leaving, you'll always fold. You'll always reward the cold shoulder with more effort. You'll always train her that the less she gives, the more you'll chase. But when you embrace the possibility of loss, when you truly understand that no woman is worth your dignity, you break the cycle. Suddenly, her silence is not punishment. It's freedom. It's information. It tells you she's not ready, not willing, or not capable of consistency. And that saves you time instead of wasting it. Now let's put this into tactics, because awareness without strategy is useless. When she disappears for hours, you don't check your phone every 5 minutes. You put it down. You go do something that makes you better. You turn silence into growth. When she cancels last minute, you don't grovel for a new plan. You keep your schedule full. You let her see that her absence doesn't leave a hole, it just leaves space for something else. And when she suddenly reappears, don't light up like a Christmas tree. Respond, yes. Be polite, yes. But keep your tone steady, your energy grounded. Never let her return feel like a reward for you. Because the moment you act like her attention is oxygen, she owns you. This is where the real shift happens. When you stop rewarding unpredictability, you force her into a choice: either step up with consistency or fade out of your life. If she steps up, you've gained her respect. If she fades out, you've saved yourself years of wasted time. Either way, you win. Because the man who doesn't bend to chaos can never be controlled by it. But let me warn you, this isn't easy. There will be nights when the silence feels like fire burning through your chest. There will be moments when you're tempted to break your own rules, to send that desperate text just to feel something. And in those moments, you'll realize the war you're fighting is not with her, it's with yourself. It's with your own addiction to unpredictability. Break that addiction, and no woman will ever have this kind of power over you again. And here's the most important truth. Unpredictability only feels powerful when you don't have a mission. When your life is empty, she becomes the center. But when your life is full, when your purpose, your goals, your growth consume your focus, her silence barely registers. You stop measuring your days by her responses, and you start measuring them by your progress. That's when you become truly unpredictable, because no woman can predict a man who is fully in control of himself. So let me challenge you now. How many times have you lost yourself in the waiting, checking your phone, replaying her last words, obsessing over her silence? How often have you treated her return like salvation instead of a test? And the hardest question, are you ready to let go of the chaos, even if it means losing her, to finally reclaim yourself? She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.